welcome back to the channel. This is Chapter 8 in the Emperor's Courtesan, Book 1 in the Valspar Legacy series. If you are new to the story, I highly recommend either popping over to the blog that is linked on my channel or in the video description and catching up on the first 7 chapters, or if you are more interested in listening rather than reading, catch up on the first 7 videos in the playlist so you know what's going on. And so let us begin. Chapter 8, Karis. I have to attend the full 2 weeks of court events for the winter festival? Karis asked incredulously. Yes, Your Imperial Highness, Adam nodded firmly. That's the instructions I was told to pass along to you from Otniel, which means it comes from His Imperial Majesty. You'll be on the dais with your father, which means you'll need to be in full formal array all 2 weeks. I do not have enough formal outfits to get through the entire 2 weeks without repeating something. Karis felt a momentary stab of panic. That is tantamount to suicide at court. Even I know that. It had been nearly 8 months since he joined his father, and nothing but his scholarly pursuits were coming easily to him. His Imperial Majesty understands that. There's to be a tailor and a stylist in to see you this morning. They've only got a few days to get everything ready, so it'll be a quick session. The tailor will be working night and day to get all 28 outfits ready for you, Adam informed him. 28? Father means to outfit me completely? Karis shook his head. His Imperial Majesty does not wish you to appear in anything you've worn to court before. Plus the style has changed, so you need to make sure you're in fashion with the rest of the young men. Adam shrugged. Or so I picked up from all the gossip. Are my lessons going to continue for those 2 weeks? Karis knew nothing about the winter festival, as the ladies in the courtesan wing had been excluded from it other than the high feasts. I doubt it. Everything stops at court during the winter festival, Adam told him. The only people who keep working are the clerks, because even if the ministers take the time off, the government can't cease to function for those 2 weeks. Good point. Karis wondered why the court took a full 2 weeks off. It wasn't as if any of them ever did much work to begin with. Karis dressed and ate. A few minutes after Adam left, the Imperial Guards let in 2 men who looked every bit as officious as any other court functionary Karis had encountered. Your Imperial Highness, they bowed as the taller of the 2 spoke. I am Malenko, your stylist. This is Stephanos, your tailor. We are here to get you ready for the winter festival. He's not as scrawny as His Imperial Majesty said he was, Stephanos commented. That's good. The clothing will hang properly on him. We need to take some measurements, and then I will show you the current fashion. We can discuss colors and fabric textures, and then we'll be out of your way. Malenko pulled out the familiar scanning wand. All right. Karis waited to see what they wanted him to do. They had him stripped down and took his measurements. He got dressed again while Malenko pulled something up on his pad. This is the current fashion for young men of rank, Your Imperial Highness. Malenko showed him what the male fashion mavens had come up with most recently. That looks uncomfortable, but I suppose comfort is the last thing people think of when they design new fashions for court. Karis looked the design over. At least that is what my mother always said. Comfort does seem to be low on the priority list, Malenko smiled. But this isn't as uncomfortable as it looks. Truly, Your Imperial Highness. It will be easy for you to move in and shouldn't be too restrictive across the chest and shoulders. I will take your word for it. Karis regarded the fashion with a skeptical eye. What colors and textures do you recommend? I usually prefer dark colors, but I have a feeling these are not going to be appropriate. I would say a dark blue and a dark green would not look out of place on the royal dais. Malenko made note. But we should also look at warmer colors. Your coloration, Your Imperial Highness, would lend itself well to a warm amber. Also, we might want to look at this shade of brown. He showed a color that Karis didn't have a name for, but was warm and almost alive. I think those 2 sound good too, Karis nodded. Yellow, Stephanos suggested. Oh no, Stephanos, absolutely not. Malenko looked almost offended. We are not trying to make him look garish. A deep red, maybe? No, I think His Imperial Majesty would take offense to that color. He doesn't like to be reminded of blood. Nothing that would offend my father, please. I have enough trouble with him as it is. Karis sighed. That still hadn't changed. Silver? Stephanos looked at Karis with a thoughtful expression on his face. Maybe. Malenko frowned as he took in Karis's brown hair, brown eyes, and lightly tanned skin. I'm not sure silver is the right tone for him, though. Copper or bronze, Stephanos suggested. Now, a good bronze would work beautifully. Malenka lit up at that. Perhaps a more spring shade of green too, Stephanos? What do you think? Too bright. Stephanos shook his head. Fall orange? Oh, that orange that has a hint of brown in it? That would work. Malenko noted that down along with the bronze. We have dark blue, dark green, brown, bronze, and fall orange. That's 5. We just need a few more colors to work with. They discussed it a little longer and settled on several other colors, most in varying shades of what they'd already picked, before deciding on texture and fabrics. Once they were done, the two men bowed and left the room. Beecher entered a few minutes after they left. I trust your morning appointment went well? Forgot what it was like working with a stylist and a tailor? Karis shook his head. They are very fussy. Beecher smiled. They have to be, Your Imperial Highness. You are going to be on display for 2 weeks. Their work must be the absolute best it can be, or else they will lose face. Now, even though you will be on a break, I trust you will continue to read in whatever free time you have. I will read as often as I have the time, Karis promised. Excellent. Now, our time is brief today because of your morning appointment, so let's get started and see how far we get. The two got to work. After lunch, Karis went to the training hall. He and Naren were still working on his fighting skills. Naren had increased his laps to 10 at full speed, and Karis found it difficult to keep up his full speed for all 10. But he did his best, and it was getting easier the longer he practiced at it. After his laps, he did his stretches and made his way to the mats. Naren was waiting for him. You only slowed down once. I'm impressed. Your endurance is improving. Now let's begin. Naren lunged for him. Karis reacted with one of the intermediate moves as a counter and blocked Naren's attack. This was something new. Naren usually just drilled him. She didn't outright attack him. Naren shifted her attack to something else, and Karis adjusted his reaction to match. For several minutes, they sparred until Naren stepped back. I see he has improved. He is still not good enough. They turned to see Vespasian standing in the doorway. We're still working on technique, Your Imperial Majesty. He's proven to me he's learned his lessons well. Naren watched the Emperor with narrowed eyes. He will be unable to defend himself if he's attacked during the Winter Festival, Naren. Vespasian glared at her. He'll do fine, Your Imperial Majesty. Naren put a hand on Karis' shoulder. He can defend himself well enough to call for help. The Imperial Guards will come to his aid before it becomes too serious. I'll teach him some vibroblade techniques before the break, so he isn't completely defenseless. He will be 2 weeks without your lessons. Do you really think he'll be able to remember what you have taught him, Naren? Vespasian gave his son a disdainful look. I'll be merciless if he forgets what he's learned in the last 8 months in only 2 weeks, Your Imperial Majesty, Naren said. He's not that bright, Naren. He will probably forget it all. Vespasian was as dismissive of his son as he always was. Karis bit his tongue and didn't reply. Today was not the day to risk a beating. Naren only had a few days to teach him what he needed to know. Any other day he'd have talked back and dealt with the consequences. With the limited time he had, he wanted to spend every moment of it learning what he had to in order to survive an assassination attempt. He's smarter than you give him credit for, Your Imperial Majesty, Naren told him reassuringly. I'm not sure I could have learned as much as he did in 8 months, and I was trained in this from an even younger age. I have every faith in His Imperial Highness's ability to retain what he's learned. We will see. Vespasian turned and walked out. Why do I bother trying to please him? I will never be good enough in his eyes. Karis scowled. Don't give up, Your Imperial Highness, Naren squeezed his shoulder. He's a hard man, but you may surprise him yet. Now let's get you started with the vibroblade. I only have a few days to get you marginally proficient with it. His Imperial Majesty didn't tell me he was including you in the Winter Festival until this morning, or I'd have been training you in this a lot longer. Karis was handed a vibroblade and directed to one of the strange machines. He learned the basic tactics of blade fighting that day. He came out of that session bruised and sore. When he tried to give her back the blade, Naren shook her head. You mean I am supposed to keep it? That's your weapon now, Your Imperial Highness. Here's the sheath. I suggest wearing it tucked against your spine as His Imperial Majesty does, so you always have a weapon on you. Naren regarded him solemnly. Get used to always keeping it on you. It could save your life. Yes, Trainer will. Karis hooked the blade to his belt at the base of his spine. It felt strange there, stiff and unyielding. Just like my father, he thought. He went back to his chambers. He took a shower and dressed, reluctantly hooking the vibroblade in place so he could get used to it to having it on him. He ate and sat and read, shifting periodically as the blade jabbed him in the back. He read until late and then went to bed. He put the blade on his nightstand so he would remember to put it on in the morning. The next morning, Adam arrived at his usual time. Karis got up, showered, and dressed. He slid the vibroblade into place. I take it you have to wear that now? Adam asked as he watched Karis attach the blade to his belt. Yes, and I do not like it. Karis regarded her solemnly. But Trainer Will says my father carries two, and I should get used to always carrying my one blade with me. I have to wear it. It's uncomfortable, but I suppose if I get caught by an assassin without my guards, it will be useful in keeping me alive long enough for my guards to catch up with me. Good philosophy. Adam looked at him. I've heard His Imperial Majesty has used his at least 4 times during his reign. You might find you need yours too. I'm still getting used to it, but I suppose once I become more proficient with it, I will cease to notice it as much. Karis shifted his belt a little to try to make it more comfortable. Karis ate breakfast and did his morning lessons, trying hard to ignore the blade at his back. He ate lunch and then went to the training room. He didn't even ask what he needed to do. He got in and immediately ran his laps and did his stretches. Good to see I don't need to tell you what to do anymore, Naren told him approvingly. Now we're going to forgo the usual fighting practice today. We are focusing solely on the vibroblade. Yesterday we practiced a few slashes and things. Today we're going back to the most basic thing of all, getting it out of its sheath and activated. It took the better part of 2 hours before Karis could draw and activate the blade without fumbling it. Naren then took him to the machine and had him practice drawing and activating it and then hitting the machine with the slashes he'd learned the previous day for an hour. The last hour she spent teaching him some other techniques. One more day. Karis looked at Naren. Yes, one more day. Naren gave him a very serious look. Tomorrow is going to be even more intense than today was, so be prepared. Yes, Trainer Will. Karis left the training room. He was so tired and just wanted his dinner and his book in his bed. He retreated to his room and was startled to find Adam waiting for him. You're to have dinner with His Imperial Majesty and one of his courtesans tonight, Adam informed him. His Imperial Majesty decreed that about an hour ago. Let me shower and then we can get me dressed for a formal dinner, Karis told him. Adam nodded. Karis showered and dressed, sliding his vibroblade into place at the small of his back. His father would be looking for signs of weakness, and he was not about to show any. He wondered which courtesan it was going to be. He didn't believe it would be his mother. His father wasn't that kind. When he was ready, his guards took him to the Emperor's private chambers. It took a few minutes, but he was finally admitted. Karis? Kalia seemed stunned to see him there. Hello, Mother. Vespasian was watching. Karis didn't rush to embrace his mother like he wanted to. He knew his father would just punish him for any kind of emotional outburst. You look well. Kalia looked from Karis to Vespasian and back again. I am fine, Mother. Karis knew she was confused by his coldness. Father is seeing to my training as he said he would. I see. Kalia frowned. I told you the boy was in good health, Kalia. Vespasian was irritated. I do not know why you did not believe me. I know your temper, Your Imperial Majesty, Kalia pointed out. Karis can be stubborn, and I wasn't sure if you'd managed to keep your temper enough to bond with him, or if you were treating him the same way you did when you collected him. I have not changed my demeanor towards the boy. Vespasian was as cold and dismissive as he always was when discussing Karis. The boy has accepted his place and is acting like a proper imperial prince should. I see. Kalia regarded them both with a faint frown on her face. A servant walked in and spoke quietly in Vespasian's ear. I must see to something. I will return shortly. Boy, you will entertain Kalia until I get back. He left the room. Kalia and Karis stared at each other for a moment. There were no servants, no guards, no one in the room but the two of them. Karis broke down and ran into his mother's arms. Kalia hugged him tightly. Oh, Karis, she murmured. He is awful, Mother. Karis buried his face in her shoulder. He is absolutely awful. Tell me. Karis gave her a terse account of the problems he was having with Vespasian, including the incident where he'd thrown him off the 4-meter-high climbing wall and broken his back, and the constant beatings Karis suffered from speaking up for himself. He what? Kalia looked at her son in shock. He is impossible, Mother. He regularly tries to kill me, though he never follows through because we both know I'm his only choice for an heir. Karis told her. That man is a monster. Kalia stroked her son's hair. I have to spend the entire 2 weeks of the festival with him at court. I am not thrilled with the idea. Do you know, in the 8 months I have been out of the wing. Only one person has used my name. Father calls me the boy or just boy. Everyone else calls me your Imperial Highness. My trainer has called me by my name a few times, and even she mostly calls me your Imperial Highness. I just wish I could hear my name. It is not that hard. Karis scowled. Wish I could do something, Karis. Kalia put a hand on his face. I have no authority over you anymore, and your father doesn't listen to anyone. I could try, but he never does, so it would be a wasted effort. No, Mother, I do not want him getting upset with you. Karis held her hand against his cheek. If I am lucky, he will let me have dinner with the two of you again, so I can occasionally hear my name spoken by someone who cares about me. When you didn't come to hug me, I thought maybe he'd gotten to you with this nonsense. Kalia looked at him with some fear. I was avoiding being punished for being soft. Karis scowled. Is that what he does? Kalia looked at her son. Karis nodded. Your father could do with a little more compassion. In his world, there is no room for compassion and kindness. Karis shook his head. He thinks you cannot be an emperor with those traits, which is absolute nonsense because there have been some great emperors who showed compassion and kindness and still managed to rule the galaxy quite well. You'll be one of those emperors, Karis. Kalia patted his cheek. Don't let your father change you. I refuse to let that man change me, even if it means being at odds with him for the rest of his life. I will not let him alter who I am. Karis smiled at his mother. They both heard the door open, and Karis took a few steps back. Vespasian entered the room. I trust you two have had a reasonable conversation while I was away? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Kalia looked at her son. Karis has just been telling me about what has been happening to him since he left the Courtesan ring. I am not pleased by his progress in his physical classes, but his scholar teacher tells me he is progressing well. Vespasian looked disdainfully at Karis. What's wrong with his progress in his physical classes? Kalia gave him a confused look. He is not progressing as fast as I expect him to, Vespasian told her. He is still a child, Your Imperial Majesty. He will not make extensive progress until he's older. Kalia glanced at her son, and Karis gave her a look. That is what Naren tells me. Vespasian scowled. I expect results from the training, and I am not getting what I expect. He looks like he's put on some muscle. Kalia looked Karis up and down. Has he? Vespasian frowned. He still looks as scrawny as he did the day I took him out of the Courtesan wing to me. He's definitely put on some muscle. He's broader across the chest and shoulders than he was when I last saw him. Kalia walked around Karis as she spoke. It could be the shirt he's wearing. Vespasian was as dismissive of Kalia as he was of Naren, and that annoyed Karis even more. No, I'm quite certain he's put on muscle, Your Imperial Majesty, Kalia confirmed. I see. Vespasian frowned at his son, trying to see what his mother saw. A servant brought in the food, and they all sat at the small table. Karis didn't speak as he ate. He listened as his parents spoke of random things, neither of them doing anything to elicit a response from him. When they were finished, they sat there for a moment while the servants cleared the dishes away. Thank you for inviting Karis to dinner with us, Your Imperial Majesty. Kalia glanced at her son. I am pleased to see he's doing so well. You were asking about him, and I thought this was the best way to answer all of your questions, Vespasian told her. He turned to Karis. Boy, your guards are waiting. Return to your room. Yes, Father. Karis rose. Have a pleasant evening, Mother. You too, Karis. Kalia smiled at him. Both of them wanted to say more, to embrace each other again, but neither said or did anything. They knew the Emperor would not approve. Karis walked out into the corridor and was met by his guards. I take it His Imperial Majesty is through with you, Your Imperial Highness? One of the guards asked. He is. Karis nodded. Then we should get you back to your room. The guards fell into their familiar positions around him. That is where he said I needed to go. Karis followed his guards back to his room. Once inside, he rang for Adam. Adam arrived a short while later. I take it dinner went about as well as you expected, Your Imperial Highness? Adam helped Karis out of his formal clothes into something he could relax in. It was pleasant enough. Karis smiled. The courtesan we had dinner with was my mother, and it was good to see her again. Mostly I sat and listened, but I was able to have a few private words with her. I'm glad to hear you had a nice evening, Your Imperial Highness. Adam tugged on his shirt to settle it properly. Any chance I get to see my mother is appreciated, even if I have to spend time with my father to do it. He curled up on the couch. Adam grinned. That's the best way to look at it, Your Imperial Highness. Anything else I can do for you this evening? Not right now, Adam. Karis picked up his pad. I will call you when I am ready to go to bed. Sounds good, Your Imperial Highness. Adam took himself off and Karis started reading. And that ends chapter 8 of The Emperor's Courtesan. Again, if you are enjoying the story, remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. As I said in the previous videos, if you have any questions about the universe, the politics, my writing style, the worlds I've mentioned, anything like that, feel free to ask them in the comments here or comment over on my blog with your question, and I will collect all the questions I get, and I will do a Q&A video after the 10th chapter has gone live here on YouTube and on my blog. I do appreciate everybody stopping by. Remember to like and subscribe here on YouTube, and if you are so inclined, subscribe to my blog. It really helps with getting the visibility out there, getting my story out there for other people to enjoy. And on that note, I wish everyone who has tuned in today that you have the most wonderful of days.